What's good with it? What's good with it out there, man? You already know this is Big Flocka with a convict's perspective, man. You already know we touch on numerous topics, but we're going to smash, dash, and slide on through with a little bit of energy. Please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support the channel. And I got a special guest, man. You know, uh, he played a pivotal role in changing my life. As well as everybody at the place where he used to work for, man. He was a counselor at a place called Project 90, man, and Project 90 has saved a lot of people's lives, and it was the first place that didn't turn their back on me. And I appreciate people like him. Nick Colucci, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. What's going on?
Man, good to see you, man. Tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
So, I'm an old school convict. You know, 12 years behind bars, prison terms, county time, was an addict for 30 years. Went down all those roads, was homeless, did what I had to do, didn't care, shut myself down from everybody around me. Just, it was me and me against the world. And, you know how we do it. And I tried to get clean for a long time. I couldn't get it right the first time or the second time or the third time. And that place, Project 90, I went there 4 times and I finally got my shit together. And, that place saved thousands of lives. And he's absolutely right about that. Thousands of people walked through that door of the center that was on 9th Avenue. And there's people there that would be dead, including myself, if it wasn't for that place.
Yeah.
I owe everything that I've got today and everything that I've accomplished today to that program.
Me too, man. I gotta sometimes touch base with people from over there, man, because I forgot how broken I was when I got there. You remember when I got there?
I do.
And I took the program way more serious. I took it serious. I had a lot to lose, though. You know what I'm saying? And there was times where my old behaviors got in the way, with people. And usually what would happen is, he's a problem. He's violent, this and that. I just will never forget. Chris Peters had me in that office, and something happened with someone at the other program where I got a little physical with him. And you know what happened?
I do.
Physical there. They could have thrown me out there with no problem. And you know what they did? They told me, they said, "How can we help you?"
Yeah.
And from then that they had to say serious, because I used to always give up on myself, man. And I owe a lot of gratitude towards that program and for the people that I met there. And I'm glad, because sometimes it helps me just being around people from P90. You know what I'm saying? And you became a counselor.
I did.
A drug counselor.
So I went through the program. I decided from the day I got there, I wasn't leaving. And I went through the program. I became a mentor. Then I became staff. And I just continued to stick and stay. And I signed up for school. And I worked at that program for almost 7 years. After 2.5 years, I became a counselor there while I was going to school. And I was the first client in the history of Project 90 to take over his counselor's caseload when his counselor left and went to another job. Terrell was my counselor. When he went to the county, I took over his caseload. Yeah, and that was my counselor through the whole program. And, I had my issues going through there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Chris, Terrell, Dave, everybody, Mr. Stansbury, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have looked at what the hell had me going back out there. And the one of the sayings that I always heard, because I mean, for 20 years, I was going in and out of P90 since 1997. 2012 was the last time I went in there as a client. And they always said, ain't nothing bad ever going to happen from sticking around the program. And the longer you stay, the more successful your chances are at staying sober long-term, clean and sober. So I stayed, and I wasn't leaving. And I continued doing what I was doing. In 2019, I ended up leaving the program for another job. I went to go work at a homeless shelter with Chris. Chris recruited me and brought me over there. And I mean, I've literally, since working at Project 90, touched in every avenue that involves substance use. I've worked in a homeless shelter. Right now, I do disability advocacy and Social Security applications and housing for clients. I've completed school, and I took my state licensing test and passed it. So now I am legally a licensed substance treatment counselor. I'm waiting for my certificate to come any day now. I have my diploma. I'm just waiting for the certificate to go on the wall along with it. I've been clean and sober for 10 years. A little over 10. It was 10 years in December. And I've gone to the parole office and done the PAC meetings and tried to connect guys like me when I got out of prison with services. You know, I have relationships with my family again. My little brother ended up getting addicted and almost died in a car accident. And because of my relationship with him again, I got him sober. Well, I got him to look at he needed to be sober. And now he's got 4 years. Yeah, I see my grandkids.
Let me ask you something. Yeah, grandkids, huh? Oh, wow. Fucking
Yeah.
Grandpa Colucci.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something. What's the most rewarding thing that you've gotten out of doing this stuff? Like, is it when you see that spiritual connection that someone has with their higher power? Is it when you just see the transformation? I mean, for you, what is it for you?
Let me see. I want to say when they come to me and they say something about they actually see that what they were doing wasn't working. And they thank me. And I'm like, I appreciate that. But all I did was point you in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? You're the one that had to do the footwork. I just did for you what others did for me when I was trying to get this. So the most rewarding thing would have to be just them seeing them do what they need to do and them succeeding. Yeah. I think would probably be the most positive thing for me to see.
So you ever get frustrated when you see someone that has the potential and they tell you about their problems, but then they go back after and do the opposite? Does that become frustrating at times? I know it becomes frustrating with me because I've sponsored men, and they have a good sense of directions. They tell me their problems, and I help give them those suggestions, and then they do the opposite. I just want to wring them by their neck.
Absolutely, all the time. I deal with a homeless population that is completely surrounded by substance use and mental health. Okay. I see it every day.
Oh, wow, yeah. I want you to explain that to us. Explain to the viewers what dual diagnosis is, because a lot of people are not familiar with that.
So dual diagnosis is where you not only have a substance use disorder issue, but you also have coinciding mental health issues. bipolar, PTSD, severe type 2 anxiety and depression. Okay. You have been diagnosed with a severe mental health issue on top of the fact that you're full blown strung out and addicted. All right. And you go back and forth. You use the drugs to deal with your mental health instead of taking your medication. And then your mental health pushes you to go get high. And it just intertwines, and you can't address one without the other.
Yeah.
And people don't always see that.
Oh, I read this. I heard recently, right? I think it's 80 to 85% of the population of the United States suffers from some type of mental, either mental health or mental deterioration, right?
82%.
82% that are not even diagnosed.
Yeah,
82%.
that aren't
Okay, thank you very
diagnosed
much.
that struggle with mental health. 82%.
And they don't know it. And that there's only 3,000 people who are capable of diagnosing them. In the whole United States, they say, is it 3,000?
You have to be a licensed psychiatrist, psychotherapist, clinician to be able to diagnose and treat mental health.
That's an issue right there, man, because what do you think the percentages of people out there that are homeless that suffer from mental health?
Over 75%.
Over 75%, man.
Over 75%.
Now, has fentanyl hit out there? Has fentanyl hit there at the peninsula or no?
Dude, it's gone beyond hit. It kills thousands of people every day. It's insane. They're cutting everything with fentanyl. Everything. They're trying to put it in weed. They're putting it in everything. There's these new designer street drugs they're coming out with. I don't even know the names of them, and they're cutting them with fentanyl.
Oh, there's the zombie drug. You heard about the zombie drug?
Yeah, there you go. That's another one. I mean, it's insane what they're doing.
And as a counselor, how are you guys preparing to, like, I've been saying this a lot for a minute, that the society in general, the news media, the politicians, that no one in this pandemic, epidemic, whatever you want to call it, enough attention about fentanyl. I think fentanyl is way worse than the crack epidemic, and that you're not seeing the attention that it deserves. And that until it starts to affect, it's starting to affect everybody's lives nowadays. Until it affects certain people's lives, you're not going to get the attention. You know,
it is. And you know what they're trying to do? They've been pushing for a few years now, this harm reduction thing, where they're trying to condone some use of it, but it doesn't work like that. You cannot use it at all. And the fact that they're trying to say heroin, opiates, you can use it in moderation, and they're condoning using it in moderation. I'm not a big fan of harm reduction, and I never was. When I got clean, I got told, you stop getting high or you're going to die. Point blank. That's the only way I would have got clean and sober, is to be told that. Not to tell me, hey, you can use a little bit and it's going to be okay. We're just going to monitor what you use, and you're only going to use a little bit at a time. No, man, I'm not that kind of addict. All right. Either I'm going to get high or I'm not going to do it at all. That's all there is to it. So my cat's she wants to be involved. She's my little kitty. I'd be dead if I'd tried to do harm reduction. So I'm not a big fan of it.
And we know a lot of people that have died, man. Just as many people as we know that actually got clean and are doing good. We know a lot of people who've also went back out there, and that there's a saying that, I can always have that relapse. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna have the next recovery. You know
Right.
what I'm talking about. So when
Right.
people are
Yeah.
clean and they go out there, they use. There's no guarantee that you're ever gonna have another
Yeah.
recovery.
You're always
There's
going to get
always that
another relapse,
potential.
but you may not make it back. Exactly.
Now, okay, I got an important question, right? Because I get these questions all the time, right? I think at the 2 year point when you're clean and sober is one of the most hardest parts because I think the first year to 18 months, everything just comes good. Good things happen, and you really haven't experienced the adversities that you could face in life. You know,
You mean the
what
pink
do you
cloud?
suggest for those that the pink
They call
cloud?
it the pink
Well, you know,
cloud. Yeah.
you're doing good.
Yeah.
You get some color
They
in your
call it the
face. You're
pink
eating
cloud.
good. You get a good job.
Everything's
You
roses
know,
and sunshine and all this good stuff's happening. And you're on this pink cloud. 3 times I relapsed at the 2 year mark. 3 times.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
What's your suggestion for those parts during that time period? Because I know a few people are going through that, and they ask questions.
Go to meetings, be around people. Don't isolate, don't be by yourself. Because the more you're by yourself, the more chances you have to go get high. If
That's
you
true.
are struggling or you're thinking about it, you need to tell somebody. All right? Because at 2, 4, and 5, those are the 3 that 65% of the people that are in recovery relapse.
Why do you think that?
I honestly do not know. I don't know, but I've seen it happen. I've watched it. I've actually done it. Like I said, 20, 24, 27, and 20 months. I relapsed. Everyone right around the 2 year mark. But I've seen it happen to 4 or 5 years too. I don't know why. I want to say maybe complacency,
Okay.
being comfortable.
Yeah.
Some people think they got it. You ain't never got it.
No, don't.
And
Yeah,
people get
I've seen
cocky.
that.
Yeah, people get cocky.
What about people who say that they don't believe that addiction or is a disease? What is your opinion on that?
I'd have to say, yeah, it is a disease. Because it's something that once you start doing it, most can't stop. And it has to be, it's like when you get sick, you have to do certain things to get better. When you're an addict, you have to do certain things just like that to get better. So yeah, I want to say it's a disease.
Okay, yeah, because people always try to sit there and create the argument. Oh, I believe it's a choice. I'm like, well, you must not suffer or been down that path. I think I believe it's a disease because I get the whole from the AA book, mental obsession, the physical allergy part of it as well. It's like you start to think about it, and then once you engage, you can't stop. You know what I'm saying? And I've always told people it wasn't the drugs that was the problem. It was me that was a problem because I was doing the drugs because I couldn't deal with my own shit. You know what I'm saying? I did not have the tools to fucking, deal with certain problems and issues that for my only outlet was to fucking either do drugs or do crime. It was as simple as that. You know,
So for me, the drugs, the
but
crime, the lifestyle, all of that
yes,
is what kept me in it.
yeah.
I got a kick out of the lifestyle.
It's I did too, man. It's just that spiritual awakening that you have, man. You don't see it happening, but it happens, man. And I think, like for me, I struggle with things from time to time. I think my biggest struggle has been how the things that got me there. If I start to forget those things, which at times I do, I don't always run a perfect program as far as on a day to day basis. Um, I think that my biggest struggle is that spiritual connection, that higher power, having something outside myself that I can lean towards. Because when I have a good connection with whatever my higher power is, I don't preach no religion to nobody. That's a personal choice, right? But I think everybody has to have something to believe in, to connect to. And I notice whenever I have that good spiritual connection and I have a higher power that's I feel close to, all the bullshit in life is not a problem anymore. It's life, you know?
Yeah, for a lot of us, so one of the sayings I came up with, I used to tell my groups all the time, don't make permanent decisions on temporary feelings. Okay. As addicts, we have a tendency to want to personalize stuff and get our feelings into a lot of it. We have to learn that not everything is really always about us. Like you said, it's just life. And we have to be able to kind of try and distinguish between the two. And when life happens, life's going to happen. You do what you got to do. You don't get loaded. You figure it out and you keep doing what you're doing. And that's the only way to go about it. I mean, I do it all the time. I got to sit back and be like, I can't personalize what's going on because it's not always about me. It's just that's the way somebody is or something is or life is. And I just got to be like, I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure me, my wife, my cats, my whatever, my job, everything is where it needs to be. And as long as I do that, I'm going to wake up another day, hopefully. And I'm going to be sober another day.
Do you ever have experienced relapse behaviors? No, where it's not an actual relapse, but it's a relapse in the old ways of behavior.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Honestly, this time, no. Before when I got clean, I would have like using dreams and shit like that. And yeah, there would be relapse behavior. I had it a lot the other times that I tried to get clean. This time, not really. Plus, I had that medical issue. I almost died a couple years ago. And I was in the hospital in ICU. And,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I had another surgery since I seen you. It started leaking again, and I had to go in for emergency surgery. And they had to put another stent in my artery. So
I forgot about that. Yeah, I went to the hospital with you, huh?
Yeah. I was in the hospital for 14 days. 10 of it, I was in ICU.
Wow.
Okay. And I had 3 surgeries, 2 over a 3-day period. And then 6 years later, I had another one just a couple years ago that they had to put another stent in. And so honestly, I can't, even if I had the using behavior, I can't even entertain it. Because if I ever chose to use again, I'd be dead. I really would be. If I hadn't got clean when this happened, I would be dead. So I'm thankful for the fact that I was given a second chance more than once. Once when I got clean and once when I didn't die. So, I'm pretty grateful every day. So it takes a lot for me to even start to revert back to the way I used to be.
That's awesome, man. That's the kind of message we need to hear. Now, where do you think where do you think they're getting it wrong though? As far as like the government and finance to help in these programs, where do you think we're getting it wrong, man?
So here it is. This is something that's been coming up. I've been working on a couple boards. I'm actually on the board for CSM, College of San Mateo, for the AOD program. The director of the AOD program has asked me to be part of the board that goes to the state about what's going on with the program and what we could do to make it better. So this is what I believe. Until we address the homelessness and the mental health that's attached to the substance use, nobody that gets clean is going to continue to stay clean.
Oh,
that's the bottom line.
You know, I seen the struggles that you guys went through. You know what I mean, as a client,
Mhm.
you know, just observing it. And the one thing I've told people from the get-go is that I feel like there's too many other programs like that just pop up and everybody's competing for funding, that they never put a program in place that's going to work for everybody. They put you in a 60 days drug Medi-Cal, 90 days, right? And then afterwards, people have nowhere to go because a lot of people are coming off the streets with no family support, and that family's still hesitant about helping them. You know, I'd rather put the taxpayer money into mental health and into more long term. Okay, let's go through a transition. 3 months of in treatment, 3 months of being housed and looking for work, and then, you know, maybe a trade or whatnot. But all they're doing is they're throwing money at a problem. 20,000, 30,000. Was it twice a year they can go?
Yeah, and all they're doing is putting a Band-Aid on
They're
it.
throwing all this money, and exactly. And I've been saying that I'd rather them give less programs at outlet, but have certain just boom, 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 and have a program that works. Maybe it takes a year to get it right. You know, yeah, you're going to risk those that want to leave, but how many people do we know that went in there and they really wanted that program, and then afterwards they had nowhere to go? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
no bed
that's why
space. They couldn't go
that's
just go
why at
somewhere. And they say, no.
P90, I was doing AOD housing afterwards with
housing.
Life Move.
Yeah.
And we would sign them up to pay for a year of their housing. That's why I was sending all these guys to the P90 SLEs and stuff like that, getting them apartments. It would pay for a year on the stagger system. First 3 months, 100, then 75, then 50, then 25. Then they were on their own because it gives them 3 months after they get out of treatment. We pay 100% of their rent, gives them time to look for work, start saving money, start getting their stuff together. And then the next 3 months they pay 75. Yeah. So they're stacking money and getting back into the groove. That's what I used to do when I was at P90. I was in charge of doing AOD housing. And it was transitional housing.
You're going to do it for me.
Yeah, transitional housing. And then once they took that away.
Didn't they? Exactly.
Yeah.
And they made it. And the thing was, even when they had it, they made it difficult to do it, though. Am I right or wrong? It was a process.
In the beginning, it wasn't. In the beginning, it wasn't. Then it started getting, the Medi-Cal started getting involved. They started putting regulations and caps on stuff, and they were making it harder and harder. Certain programs would not take the funding for their transitional housing because the contract was up and they wouldn't renew the contract with the program. So then there you go. There's a housing source that we've just lost.
And that's the problem right now with a lot of these recovery treatment centers is that they're being regulated by basically people who have known nothing about recovery, that are trying to make plans, and they go off statistics. Statistics don't tell you what real life problems are. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it, because I know Stansberry was a advocate fighting against it all the time, and he used to love to go in there and fight with the government about funding and whatnot.
Yeah, you got knowledge from books and classrooms. Okay, stats, figures, classrooms, and books. You don't know nothing about lived experience, but you're telling us what's going to work and what isn't going to work. We know better. Now, the county has actually got lived experience analysts that are working with them now. I was actually going to apply for one of the jobs. Okay. One of my coworkers that I was just working with at Abode, where I work, got the job, and he's an analyst for lived experience with the county. And he goes into these meetings, and I've been in a couple meetings with him. And he goes into these meetings, and they talk about statistics and what's working. And from somebody who's been homeless and been there. And they asked me to sit in on the meetings because they know, I've been there. I've been strung out and homeless and running around committing crimes and doing all that stuff that we do. So I know what's really going on.
Well, we're going to end this interview, but I want you to sit there and take the next couple minutes to shout out to the people about recovery, about anything that you want to put out there for people. What's on your heart and mind?
All I really want to say is, when you can look at the way things are in your life and you can honestly say, you know what, I can do better than this. At that point, you need to reach out to somebody, you need to ask for help, because you don't have to keep living the way you're living if you ain't happy with it. All right. You can do better. Things can get better. And all you got to do is you got to ask somebody for help. And I know pride and ego is a motherfucker. And I know that. But sometimes we got to put that pride and ego aside in order to have a better life. And if you don't put it aside, you ain't going to be able to ask anybody for help. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, thanks for that message. Thanks for that message right there. And I just want to send a shout out to Dave Clemens, Nicolette, all the counselors, all the mentors, everybody that helped help me there, man. People cared. You know what I'm saying? There's no other feeling but to be placed where people who have the same issues as you are there to help you. You know what I mean? And I want to say I appreciated you.
Thank you. I just, like I said, I just point people in the right direction and I hope that they figure it out.
Definitely.